Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Brett Sims. In this presentation, I will discuss theories behind intimate partner violence, which can also potentially lead to murder, including how it may start, escalate, and end off. Some of the theories I will discuss include social learning theory, the three I's theory, attachment theory, economic/strain theories, power and control/coercive control theory, cycle of abuse theory, lastly, psychological and trauma theories. There's a lot of theories, it's kind of hard to cover them all. Social learning theory to start. This stems from people learning the violent behavior through witnessing it. For example, a boy raised in a home with a violent father will lead to him being more likely to kind of reflect this behavior in the future. Typically, this will be shown in a pattern, almost going from tension to abuse to a honeymoon phase to a calm, and then repeating it. And that cycle kind of leaves the abused partner to stay in the relationship, which it's a never-ending cycle, but the partner ends up looking forward towards the calm, and it just keeps going and going. The next theory I will discuss is the three I's theory, or I cubed theory. Starts with instigation, triggers, which are triggers, whether it's rejection or other conflict, something that may make a person feel less than the other in a sense. Impellents, which would be amplifiers, whether it's drugs or alcohol, impulsive behavior, past trauma. This cycle would be repeated due to the abused partner's inhibition, which would be their empathy, their self-control. Essentially, they just feel bad for their abuser, which, it's hard to explain, but I feel like being in that situation, it's very tough to get out of, because this is someone that you care for a lot, and they're treating you so negatively, but you still feel bad for them and can't get out of it. But the three I's being instigation, impellence, and then inhibition. The next theory I will discuss is attachment theory. Basically just being emotionally avoidant paired with your partner who is overly attached in relationships. It'll lead to abuse, because it's just they have conflicting values in terms of how they would spend their time together. One person doesn't care for much time, the other person wants to be with them all the time, and then there's cheating accusations and all this other stuff that just escalates into violence. Next theory I will discover is the strain theory. So strain theory has the idea that, someone in a low spot in life, economic hardship, unemployment, say there's unequal power in the relationship and someone just gets sick of it. This can potentially lead to abuse due to someone snapping, in a sense. They're so mad at the world that they take it out on their significant other, which again doesn't make sense to the healthy person, but there's people out there like that. Power and control theory, IPV, or intimate partner violence, is seen as a way to maintain power in a household. So this could be like that kind of traditional view on relationships, where the man is like, oh, I need to be the man of the house, and then ends up hitting his wife, getting home from work all drunk and hitting his wife or kids. It's kind of that idea. Expanding on that is coercive control, which is more so manipulation than anything, and it's similar. Doesn't always lead to violence, but it's kind of just expanding on that whole control theory idea. Cycle abuse, I touched on this with the I touched on the cycle of abuse with the social behavior theory, social learning theory. It's just that repeating cycle where it'll go from tension. So they're arguing all the time, and there's abuse, which escalates from the arguing, and then all of a sudden it comes to love bombing and this honeymoon phase where the abuser is just, I'm so sorry, I love you, you know, all this kind of stuff, and then there's a calm for a little bit, and then there's another thing to argue about, and then there's more abuse, and there's more reconciliation, and there's more calm, and it just keeps repeating and repeating, and it's hard to get out of that relationship when you are the one being abused in that way, because of that love bombing and calm phase, where it's just manipulation at the end of the day, but it's hard to get out of when you're in that situation, because again, you're so attached to this person, and they are showing you love for half the time. The other half the time, they're yelling at you, calling you names, hitting you, and it's just very very difficult to deal with. Moving forward, we have psychological and trauma theories. It's just kind of highlighting how past traumas and like PTSD can enhance a person's violent tendencies, and again, you could see this a lot with, you know, a war veteran, someone that's been shot at. You know, they watched their friends get killed. They, you know, were injured significantly, and then now this PTSD is with them, and they see things when they don't want to, and they just, you know, they're dealing with a lot of emotions and visions in their head that they don't want to, and they tend to be more violent. Um, or even, you know, someone with childhood trauma, they get the same thing, PTSD, and certain actions may trigger like a flashback for them, and it just heightens the chances that they're going to be more violent towards an intimate partner. Um, anyway, in conclusion, there's many factors involved in intimate partner violence. From my understanding, I would say the three eyes theory is probably a very common one. Social learning theory is also another very common additive to that. Um, and the cycle of abuse theory as well. Just due to that, it traps the partner in that situation where it's just hard to get out of. Um, you know, amplifiers, impellents as a part of the three eyes or the I cube theory, being, you know, alcohol. Alcohol is a very major component to the amount of IPVs or intimate partner violence cases, due to just the lack of self-control people have and the lack of thought people can distribute and, you know, make happen when they are influenced by drugs and alcohol. Anyway, thank you for your time. It was interesting learning about this more in depth than just the textbook, and I hope you enjoyed. Thank you.